Now, if you've ever considered buying a home in Skagit County, at some point in time, you've probably seen this scene behind me. And this is the Mount Vernon flood wall. And you may know, or maybe you don't know, but a lot of homes in Skagit are actually in the floodplain. Also in Skagit County, you might know it rains a lot in the fall and winter. That is currently what's happening.
I'm gonna grab my umbrella.
Yeah. So Morgan does insurance, you see, and we're going to talk to you about insurance in general and specifically flood insurance. When you're buying a home in this area, one of the things we can do is look at FEMA flood maps, and it'll show us whether a property is or isn't in a floodplain. Now, there's multiple different floodplains. What is the most common one we see?
Yeah, so there's kind of two things. One thing I want to note is like Mount Vernon, the town of Mount Vernon, 80% of the town is not in any flood zone. It's a big X.
It's well above it. Like if we go anywhere up on that hill there, nothing, right?
Yeah. So nothing even close. But so most of Burlington and Mount Vernon that is in the flood zone is in the 100-year flood zone. You have a 1% chance of it flooding in the 100-year flood zone each year.
So it's not saying there's one flood every 100 years. It's saying that there's a 1% chance of each property in that of flooding each year.
Yeah, because if you go back in time, in the most recent years, 3 of the 5 last years we've had a bad flood. But if you go back 40 years, there's only one back in like 1990, let's say.
Which we actually surpassed that
the
other day here by just, I think it was like a few inches or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Setting records.
Setting records. Not the good kind. How hard is it to get flood insurance?
So this is how easy it is. You need the address of the place. That's it. I don't even need to know their name. I don't need to know date of births, anything like that. You just need the address. It doesn't matter anybody who applies for it or tries to get it, it's the same cost versus, like we do a lot of home insurance too. That is dependent person to person. So just the address. That's how easy it is. Because there's 2 types of flood insurance policies generally. There's one through the federal government, so a FEMA related policy, and then there's a private flood insurance. So
it's awesome listening to him talk because we're just getting dumped on with rain right now. It makes all of this better.
We're like, it never rains or floods here, and it's never dark in the sky.
No, always sunny,
always
warm,
sunny,
no wind.
Philadelphia.
Or just a cool breeze.
Yeah, cool breeze. So there's the 2 types of flood insurance is FEMA, which is through the government and has tons of different providers who do it, and then private flood insurance. So
the most common name I hear is Lloyd's of London, right?
Lloyd's of London or CAT, whatever it might be. That's private flood insurance. And you're hoping that's who you get it with because that's a third of the cost of the government policy usually. But it also has a lower risk. It only wants houses that usually haven't flooded before.
Right, so there are some neighborhoods like Lyman, Hamilton area, which flood quite frequently. Yeah,
and you're probably going to get the policy that's quite a bit more expensive, but at least you'll get coverage. At least you can buy the home. We talked about 1%.
If you don't have flood insurance, can you get flood insurance during a flood?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question. So it's my dad and I, we own the business together, and we have 3 assistants, and I think we each took 40 calls about that.
In the last week?
In the last week, and the answer is no. It's like, so when the tsunami happens, that's not when you can get your flood insurance. When the storm's happening, you can't get it. Probably in about 2 weeks from now, you can though.
Yeah.
Once the rain stops, we can go ahead and take a look at it.
The rain stops. The rain's not going to stop for 6 months.
In 6 months from now, the rain stops, But yeah, so in about 2 weeks we can do it.
Is that crazy expensive? Does it depend? What does that look like?
Yeah, it kind of depends, but let's talk generally speaking. So most of Burlington and most of Mount Vernon, your policy is going to be $500 to $600
if you're in the floodplain.
If you're in the floodplain,
a lot of it isn't.
Most of it isn't, but if you're in Burlington, which a lot of it is in the flood zone, or west part of Mount Vernon, it's probably $500 to $600 a year, which is probably a third of what your home insurance is.
So if I have a home in Burlington and I've got flood insurance with it, what does that actually cover?
Yeah, so typically if you just picked up 100 policies, 90 of those policies are only going to cover the building. Most policies don't have coverage for personal property or living anywhere else or things like that a home insurance policy has. You can add them, but most of the time people just don't, it'll never flood here, and they just don't have it. It's probably very low cost. Your $500 to $600 a year policy probably goes to $600 to $700 to add personal property coverage.
Gotcha. So if you do have flood insurance in a floodplain anywhere, that might be something worth looking at.
Yeah, so that's a big thing that I'm doing now is, now that people realize it maybe can flood, I'm calling all my clients and say, hey, $100 a year, $10 a month, you could have coverage for this. Let's just talk about it.
Yeah. Cool. Hopefully this was a short, sweet, informational video. Thanks, Morgan.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for sitting in the rain with me.
Yeah.
Okay.